Imagine if you could grow a chocolate pudding in your backyard. Well, it's possible, and we've got one growing right here, chocolate pudding fruit. Hi guys, this is Al, and this is the Sapote Saporium. Had a little bit of a break, and I've come back to show you the garden in springtime, which is the best time to look at the garden, and in particular my favourite fruit tree, or my sort of sentimental favourite fruit tree, is right behind me, and it's what we named Sapote Saporium after. Let's have a look. Okay, this tree behind me is a black sapote. It's a really interesting tree because a lot of people think the black sapote is a strictly tropical tree, and the first time that we saw it was actually in a tropical fruit tasting session up in the Daintree at the tropical fruit farm up there. And so it obviously grows in those very extreme tropical areas, but surprisingly enough it grows well down here in Sydney as well, and really well. Like it's sort of only just a sort of a subtropical tree. It like doesn't mind growing in a sort of a temperate climate, I'd suggest, as well. So not only does it grow well, it's provided us an abundance of fruit. And a lot of people don't understand what the black sapote is because it's not very common. And one of the reasons why you'll never see it in a shop, or you rarely see it in a shop, is because the fruit achieves a maturity on the tree, and then it gets very mushy and it looks like it's going rotten. So it sort of goes from being hard on the tree to being quite soft. So it's very difficult to transport, and it's very hard to time when you're going to eat it. If you've got the tree, of course, you can see when you're going to eat it and work out the best times to eat it, because what happens is it starts off very hard. In this case, in Sydney, the fruit actually overwinters. So the fruit gets ready, it sort of grows to its full size on the tree before winter, but you can't harvest it at that size. You have to wait. The same thing happens with our avocado tree over here as well. The fruits are ready, but the growing season's not long enough for them to mature before winter. So what happens, they mature, and well, they don't mature, they get to their full size, and they mature after winter. So once winter's gone, in the springtime, we start to see the fruits ripening and getting ready. And I'll go and show you the different levels of ripeness of the black sapote, and we'll have a look at that now. So this is our view from our balcony. These are our fruit trees growing down here. That's the black sapote in the middle there. If we swing around, we've got some fruits that we've harvested. So it's very interesting. If you see this fruit here, this fruit is mature, but it's not ripe, which means that it's come off the tree, it's going to ripen, just like an avocado, but it's not ripe yet. So that's the first stage. Then we feel them here. These ones are pretty similar. And then what happens after a couple of days, we end up with something like this. People would think that that's a throwaway fruit, but it's not. It's exactly as we want them. You can see if I push down, it leaves an indent. So perfect. That is a perfect sapote, and this one has been left a bit too long. But look how it's all flat on one side, it's all mushy inside, but still perfectly edible. So that's the sort of the way we harvest the sapotes. And how we know they're ripe is if this calyx here rises off like that. If there's room between the fruit and that there, that's an indicator that it's ripe, even if it's rock hard on the tree. See how that's lifting off? So that won't lift off before winter. So that's the black sapote. So the black sapote is a beautiful fruit. It's called the chocolate pudding fruit, and it resembles chocolate pudding, a chocolate mousse. When we mix it with coconut, it's delicious, absolutely beautiful. If you freeze it with a banana, and you can make an ice cream out of that, and blend it up. That's absolutely beautiful. It's also used in baking, and you can put it in smoothies as well. So it's very versatile. It has a mild, sort of moussey, chocolatey flavour to it, and a bit of a organic rainforest taste, if that makes any sense. It's a very mild fruit, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it's well worth growing here in Sydney. So this is our favourite fruit, the black sapote, or chocolate pudding fruit. So despite being a beautiful, delicious food, the black sapote actually makes quite a good hedge. It's like a lot of trees. It can grow quite big. I think it's probably in the vicinity of sort of 6 to 8 metre sort of tree in suburbia. But we're pruning ours. So I decided, why have a hedge that's made out of verbenas and all sorts of things like that, when we can actually use a black sapote? And as long as we stay on top of the pruning of the sapote, cutting off new growth, I've been able to slowly turn it into a hedge. And why not have a hedge that's got an abundance of fruit? So let's have a look what I've done here. Here we go. So this is my hedge. These are 2 smaller sapotes that I've grown from seed, from the ones that I've eaten from that tree out the back. And then I've got about 3 or 4 different varieties of black sapotes growing here that I'm turning into a hedge. This project's only about 2 years old. It's in its 2nd year, and it's not the best spot for light, so not everything grows really well here, but they are slowly growing. So why not have an edible hedge? And you can see we're in spring, and what an abundant plant it is. Look at all this new growth. Phenomenal. And it's pushing out the new growth, and at the same time I did allow it to keep 1 or 2 fruits on there from last year. I didn't want a whole heap of fruits because I don't want the energy going into producing fruit instead of leaves. But that's a good size black sapote right there. So that's the black sapote as an edible hedge, and no need for it to be a big hulking tree. Very manageable and extremely abundant.